Well, hey folks, welcome to a special episode of Comic Tropes. This is actually a Patreon-timed exclusive. That just means that I show it to my Patreon subscribers, and after a little while, I share it with everyone. I'm sorry if I seem distracted, but I just can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about Aquaman. I made an episode about when he became a tough guy. I went and saw his campy movie, and I just kept reading Aquaman comics. And then I came across it. An utterly bizarre issue from the 40s where Aquaman decides that he's going to go to college so that he can learn about fish. You'd think that of all the superheroes, the one guy who should know a little bit about fish would be Aquaman. Now, to be fair, this is the Golden Age version of Aquaman, and he didn't come from Atlantis. He was a regular guy who just learned how to breathe underwater and could also talk to fish. So, if he didn't know who a fish was, he could always go, "Hey fish, who are you? What's your deal?" But no, it's so much crazier than that. It's so crazy, I'm gonna have to share it with all of you. I've gotta get it out of my system. I've gotta purge it. And then every time I come across something ridiculous, I'm going back to old habits. I'm gonna drink alcoholic water. Yeah, that's right. There is now alcohol that's water. It just tastes like still water. It doesn't have any carbonation. It's about the same as a beer. It's crazy. Let's just get into it. The story kicks off with a splash panel featuring Aquaman hanging out in his tub in what must be his dorm room at college. The caption reads, "Many queer creatures live in the ocean." Take a look at how horrified Aquaman's fellow students are. To be fair, if I saw my roommate put a bathtub in the middle of the living room, I'd be horrified too. And that's before I even get to the octopus walking around pinning up his favorite college team pennants. The story itself kicks off with Aquaman talking to a bunch of fish that he calls his friends, which is kind of sad, and telling them why he's leaving. Apparently, the other day he saw a fish he didn't know, so he thought the best idea would be to touch it, which ended up hurting. So now he'll go to college and learn about a bunch of fish instead of just asking the fish what he was. Before he leaves, he shakes an octopus's tentacle and tells him, "So long, pal. I'll keep in touch with you." First of all, rude to the other fish. Second, how exactly is Aquaman going to keep in touch with his octopus friend? Most post offices, to my knowledge, aren't set up with submarines. Aquaman goes to Weston College in a disguise which consists of glasses and sometimes what is either a yarmulke or some kind of old-fashioned baseball cap without a brim. He apparently is better at disguise than Superman, though, because he also gives himself the fake name Mr. Waterman. Mr. Waterman. I guess Ted Aquaman Smith was taken. Yeah, Weston College may have the best ichthyologist in the world to teach people about fish, but their admissions department is a total joke. At the end of his first day at college, Aquaman is so desperate to get back into the water that he climbs into a rooftop water tank to swim around, while musing how he doesn't understand how mortals can stand being out of water for so long. You know what, Aquaman? The fact is, a lot of us mortals do enjoy, say, a nice long shower or going to the beach or swimming in the pool. But the one thing we tend not to do is jump into other people's drinking water and splish splash around. The next day, Mr. Reed shows up. He's a wealthy alumnus of Weston College who is ashamed of it because all of Weston's sports teams are losers. He decides to take this out on Professor Hatcher, the ichthyologist teacher, instead of speaking with the dean. He says that if Weston doesn't win its upcoming swim meet, he'll stop donating, and the college will apparently have to shut down. Aquaman says the school will win its swim meet, which causes Mr. Reed to say they haven't got a chance in a million. Geez, dude, whose side are you on? Mr. Reed goes on to say that if Weston can win, he'll donate $1 million. So those are the stakes. If Weston College can win a swim meet, they'll keep the doors open. That's right, a college that we've never heard of before and will never hear of again will get to keep teaching people about fish. Real life or death, edge of your seat stakes that we've got in place, right? Obviously, Aquaman joins the swim team and impresses them by swimming quickly and holding his breath for 15 minutes. The coach is impressed, so Aquaman just tells him he's Aquaman. So, What was the point of having a secret identity in the first place? Aquaman just blurts out to the first guy that sees him swim well that, hey, he's Aquaman. He could have gone to college without that secret identity. Apparently, everything would have been fine. The swim meet begins and Aquaman begins winning all the races. We cut to Mr. Reed, whose boat is sinking in the ocean. Apparently they didn't bring a radio, and Mr. Reed complains that if he drowns now, Weston College won't get his donation. Aquaman has no idea, and just keeps beating swimmers that aren't even coming close to his speed. Finally, an eel swims into the pool from the ocean to tell Aquaman about Mr. Reed drowning. This panel just broke me. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, every time somebody starts drowning, do fish just start looking for Aquaman, or is Mr. Reed special? And how did the fish even know where to find Aquaman? Why has a college connected its pool to the ocean? Why is that connected? There's too much to fathom here. It broke me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Aquaman is said to swim up a nearby river and out to sea. He's able to rescue Mr. Reed and his guests before they drown, along with the help of Aquaman's terrifying octopus. Then Aquaman summons a whale to save them and apparently just lets it beach itself to shuttle everyone else ashore. The news shows up right away and Mr. Reed announces that he'll give $1 million to Weston College and a further $9 million to charity. Aquaman stands right next to him thinking to himself how he isn't getting any credit, but it's okay because it's for a good cause. I like to think that after Aquaman abandoned the swim team that they ended up losing, and when Mr. Reed found that out, he pulled his donation back from Weston College. I like to think that Weston College went down in flames because Aquaman just sort of ditches them immediately. There's never any further talk of Aquaman going to college. He never needs to learn about fish in the future. But you know what? That's the craziness that I absolutely love about comics from the 30s through the 50s. They just threw stuff at the wall to see what would stick. They never bothered to think about logic or anything like that. I'd love to hear what your favorite crazy stories are from the golden age of comics, because there is a lot out there and it's all pretty damn entertaining. All right, I hope you enjoyed this short episode, and until I see you next time, keep reading comics.